Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to today's reading of Srimad Bhagavatam here in ISKCON Dublin on the Abbey Street. Welcome everyone online who joined us today. We feel really blessed and honored. We have a reading in this scripture of the this holy scripture, pure Purana, spotless Purana. And we'll continue today with verse 33 of the 26. We have glorification verses that we recite of Sanatana Goswami. You have it? Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satvalam Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikpadam Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Patnaya Prema Vakshaksharayate Sanda Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishna Namostume Madhika Bandha Matsangin Madgoro Matmahadana Manishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Asadu Sadutadai Atini Chochataraka Anamuncha Kadachinmam Prema Hritkantayos Puram. Translation: O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mud, the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all of the worlds. Of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun, reason, and darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. My only friend and companion, I bow to you, supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always say, my constant, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of excellence. I bow down to you. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and pure love. It's good to read this prayer before we recite, to remind us to know what we are reading. Who or what is this Srimad Bhagavatam? Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's so, welcome everyone to today's Srimad Bhagavatam. We continuing. It's the Canto 3. We are at chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, and verse 33. Still, Lord Krishna is describing the principles of material nature to his mother, or Kapila Devahuti, in this case. So, translation: who are learned and who have true knowledge, they find sound as that which of an object indicates the presence of a speaker, screened from our view, and constitutes the subtle form of ether. So now, description of purport. It is very clear herein that as soon as we speak of hearing, there must be a speaker. Without a speaker, there is no question of hearing. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge, which is known as Shruti, or that which is received by hearing, is also called Apaurusha. Apaurusha means not spoken by any person materially created. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridam. The son of Brahman, or Veda, was first impregnated into the heart of Brahma, the original learned man, Adi Kavaye. How did he become learned? Whenever there is learning, there must be a speaker and the process of hearing. But Brahma was the first created being. Who spoke to him? Since no one was there, who was the spiritual master to give knowledge? He was the only living creature. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge was imparted within his heart by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone as Paramatma. Vedic knowledge is understood to be spoken by the Supreme Lord, and therefore it is free from the defects of material understanding. Material understanding is defective. If we hear something from a conditioned soul, it is full of defects. there's Dina there, so it's going down. All material and mundane information is tainted by illusion, error, cheating, and imperfection of the senses. Because Vedic knowledge was imparted by the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to material creation, it is perfect. If we receive that Vedic knowledge from Brahman in disciplic succession, then we receive perfect knowledge. Every word we hear has a meaning behind it. As soon as we hear the word water, there is a substance, water, behind the word. Similarly, as soon as we hear the word God, there is a meaning to it. If we receive that meaning and explanation of God from God Himself, then it is perfect. But if we speculate about the meaning of God, it is imperfect. Bhagavad Gita, which is the science of God, is spoken by the personality of Godhead Himself. This is perfect knowledge. Mental speculators or so-called philosophers who are researching what is actually God will never understand the nature of God. The science of God has to be understood in disciplic succession from Brahma, who was first instructed about knowledge of God by God Himself. We can understand the knowledge of God by hearing Bhagavad Gita from a person authorized in the disciplic succession. When we speak of seeing, there must be form. By our sense perception, the beginning experience is the sky. Sky is the beginning of form. And from the sky, other forms emanate. The objects of knowledge and sense perception begin, therefore, from the sky. Text 34. The activities and characteristics of the ethereal element can be observed as accommodation for the room for the external and internal existence of all living entities, namely the field of activities of the vital air, the senses, and the mind. It's text 34. So I'll just read, you just came back. So, translation, verse 34. The activities and characteristics of the ethereal element can be observed as accommodation for the room for the external and internal existence of all living entities, namely the field of activities of the vital air, the senses, and the mind. Purport. The mind, the senses, and the vital force or living entity have forms, although they are not visible to the naked eye. Form rests in subtle existence in the sky, and internally it is perceived as the veins within the body and the circulation of the vital air. Externally, there are invisible forms of sense objects. The production of the invisible sense objects is the external activity of the ethereal element, and the circulation of vital air and blood is its internal activity. That subtle form exists in the ether has been proven by modern science by transmission of television, by which forms or photographs of one place are transmitted to another place by the action of the ethereal element. That is very nicely explained here. This verse is the potential basis of great scientific research work, for it explains how subtle forms are generated from the ethereal element, what their characteristics and actions are, and how the tangible elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth, are manifested from the subtle form. Mental activities or psychological actions of thinking, feeling, and willing are also activities on the platform of ethereal existence. The statement in Bhagavad Gita that the mental situation at the time of death is the basis of the next birth is also corroborated in this verse. Mental existence transforms into tangible form as soon as there is an opportunity due to contamination or development of the gross elements from subtle form.
Question with this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can answer.
Yeah.
This one is quite complex. It's a lot there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the invisible sense object, which is the material element.
Hare Krishna. Where is this in purport?
Yes, it's purport 34.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what we just read.
Yes. Try to grasp what is the ethereal element, because it's very...
Ethereal is the sky. it's the ether. You know, sometimes it's called ether.
Yes.
In modern way, we just call it sky. But it's, when we say sky, maybe it doesn't have as a meaning, as a same meaning as if you would say ether. I mean, what actually is? I mean, is basically the same. It refers to the same thing. But it's maybe you missed the previous one. It says that where was it? That from the sky other forms emanate. So the sky is the first form. So, but the question about you're thinking about these subtle forms.
Yes. Yes, a subtle existence in the sky.
Yeah, all the forms has both a subtle form and a manifested form, or the internal and external form. Like the example, or the good example would be like the bodies have the subtle form in their internal subtle form in the mind. So you carry that, you carry the impressions in your subtle form, in the subtle body, to the next existence, and you get again the body, which comes from the subtle. It comes from the subtle impressions they carry this with transmigration. So it remains in a subtle form. So for everything else, it's also first subtly there, and then it's grossly manifested. Yeah. So that's the kind of law how everything works. Even when we have the examples of manifesting something like now, you say I'm making a table, but I have to first have it subtly. I won't be able to do it first externally. It always needs to have a subtle form first. That means it creates in our mind. So that's kind of the simple way, or putting everything in a skyscraper or anything new that never was done. It was first manifested in someone's head, as so-called head. Yeah. But there's much more to it to explain, like as I'm not able to. 35, yeah, you're right. Translation. From ethereal existence, which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, and thus the subtle element touch enthans the air. Let's see what is tense. Look up. A locative adverb is a type of adverb that refers to location. It's like an old way of saying then, or it sounds like that. Yeah, I think we're okay. Huh? Like then, subtle element. Sorry, I'll read again. From material existence. Are you trying to find it?
Yeah, as a consequence.
Consequence. Yeah. Okay. Same as then, huh? So, from material existence, which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, and thus the subtle element touch, and hence the air and sense of touch become prominent. Purport. In the course of time, when the subtle forms are transformed into gross forms, they become the objects of touch. The objects of touch and the tactile sense also develop after this evolution in time. Sound is the first sense object to exhibit material existence, and from the perception of sound, touch perception evolves, and from touch perception, the perception of sight. That is the way of the gradual evolution of our perceptive objects. Text 36. Softness and hardness and cold and heat are the distinguishing attributes of touch, which is characterized as the subtle form of air. Purport. Tangibility is the proof of form. In actuality, objects are perceived in two different ways. They are either soft or hard, cold or hot, etc. This tangible action of the tactile sense is the result of the evolution of air, which is produced from the sky. This is all science behind how things become manifest and from in what sequence. It's amazing. Text 37. The action of the air is exhibited in movements, mixing, allowing approach to the objects of sound and other sense perceptions, and providing for the proper functioning of all other senses. Purport. We can perceive the action of the air when the branches of a tree move or when dry leaves on the ground collect together. Similarly, it is only by the action of the air that a body moves, and when the air circulation is impeded, many diseases result. Paralysis, nervous breakdowns, madness, and many other diseases are actually due to the insufficient circulation of air. In the Ayurvedic system, these diseases of air circulation, if one takes the process of air circulation, such diseases cannot take place. From the Ayurveda as well as Bhagavatam, it is clear that so many activities are going on internally and externally because of air alone, and as soon as there is some deficiency in the air circulation, these activities cannot take place. Here it is clearly stated, netritvam dravya shabdayoha. Our sense of proprietorship over action is also due to the activity of the air. Interesting, huh?
Very interesting.
Our sense of proprietorship is over action is also due to the activity of air. See how things are really connected to where they stem from. If the air circulation is stifled, we cannot approach a place after hearing. If someone calls us, we hear the sound because of the air circulation, and we approach that sound or the place from which the sound comes. It is clearly said in this verse that these are all movements of the air. The ability to detect odors is also due to the action of the air. Yeah, there's Text 38. By interactions of the air and the sensations of touch, one receives different forms according to destiny. By evolution of such forms, there is fire, and the eye sees different forms in color. Purport. Because of destiny, the touch sensation, the interactions of air, and the situation of the mind, which is produced of the ethereal element, one receives a body according to his previous activities. Needless to say, a living entity transmigrates from one form to another. His form changes according to destiny and by the arrangement of a superior authority which controls the interaction of air and the mental situation. Form is the combination of different types of sense perception. Predestined activities are the plans of the mental situation and the interaction of air. Text 39. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Purport. Every form that we appreciate has its particular dimensions and characteristics. The quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility, but the form of sound is independent. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. That is the independent appreciation of invisible form. Visible forms are understood by analytical study of their constitution. The constitution of a certain object is appreciated by its internal action. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty tastes, and the form of sugar is appreciated by the interaction of the sweet tastes. Taste and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form as an object. Okay. Text 40. Fire is appreciated by its light and by its ability to cook, to digest, to destroy cold, to evaporate, and to give rise to hunger, thirst, eating, and drinking. Purport. The first symptoms of fire are distribution of light and heat, and the existence of fire is also perceived in the stomach. Without fire, we cannot digest what we eat. Without digestion, there is no hunger and thirst or power to eat and drink. When there is insufficient hunger and thirst, it is understood that there is a short age of fire within the stomach, and the Ayurvedic treatment is performed in connection with the fire element, Agni Mandyam. It's the name of treatment. Since fire is increased by the secretion of bile, the treatment is to increase bile secretion. The Ayurvedic treatment thus corroborates the statements in Srimad Bhagavatam. The characteristic of fire in subduing the influence of cold is known to everyone. Severe cold can always be counteracted by fire. 41. By the interaction of fire and the visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under a superior arrangement. From taste, water is produced, and the tongue, which perceives taste, is also manifested. Purport. The tongue is described here as the instrument for acquiring knowledge of taste. Because taste is a product of water, there is always saliva on the tongue. Text 42. Although originally one, taste becomes manifold as astringent, sweet, bitter, pungent, sour, and salty due to contact with other substances. Text 43. The characteristics of water are exhibited by its moistening other substances, coagulating various mixtures, causing satisfaction, maintaining life, softening things, driving away heat, incessantly supplying itself to reservoirs of water, and refreshing by slaking thirst. Or probably, quenching thirst, probably the same word. Starvation can be mitigated by drinking water. It is sometimes found that if a person who has taken a fast takes a little water at intervals, the exhaustion of fasting is at once mitigated. Thus it is also stated, apomaya pranaha. Life depends on water. Water, anything can be moistened or flour dough can be prepared with a mixture of water. Mud is made by mixing earth with water. As stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, water is the cementing ingredient in material elements. If we build a house, water is actually the constituent in making the bricks. Fire, water, and air are the exchanging elements for the entire material manifestation. Can be reduced simply by pouring water on the heated fields. Becomes many, as mixed, offensive, fragrant, mild, strong, acidic, and so on, according to the proportions of associated substances. Purport. Mixed smell is sometimes perceived in foodstuffs prepared from various ingredients, such as vegetables mixed with different kinds of spices and asafoetida. Bad odors are perceived in filthy places. Good smells are perceived from camphor, menthol, and similar other products. Pungent smells are perceived from garlic and onions, and acidic smells are perceived from turmeric and similar sour substances. The original aroma is the odor emanating from the earth, and when it is mixed with different substances, this odor appears in different ways. Text 46. The characteristics of the functions of earth can be perceived by modeling forms of the Supreme Brahman, by constructing places of residence, by preparing pots to contain water, etc. In other words, the earth is the place of sustenance for all elements. Purport. Different elements such as sound, sky, air, fire, and water can be perceived in the earth. Another feature of the earth especially mentioned here is that earth can manifest different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this statement of Kapilas, it is confirmed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahman, has innumerable forms which are described in the scriptures. It was open, right? You kept when you came down, right? But I'm just, where's the, because you're here so far away, there should be someone there on the first floor. let's wait. So you don't. We'll put another sticker on. You know, we have sticker ring the bell. We'll put sticker push the door. Just in case it's open. And also, if you're listening online, you can take that note. You know where we are?
Yes.
By
46 in bottom.
Here, purport. Yeah. By this statement, second line.
Yeah.
By this statement of Kapila, it is confirmed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Brahman has innumerable forms, which are described in the scriptures. By manipulation of earth and its products, such as stone, wood, and jewels, these forms of the Supreme Lord can be present before our eyes. When a form of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu is manifested by presentation of a statue made of earth, it is not imaginary. The earth gives shape to the Lord's forms as described in the scriptures. In a Brahma Samhita there is description of Lord Krishna's lands, the variegatedness of the spiritual abode, and the forms of the Lord playing a flute with his spiritual body. All these forms are described in the scriptures, and when they are thus presented, they become worshipable. They are not imaginary, as the Mayavada philosophy says. Sometimes the word bhavana is misinterpreted as imagination. But bhavana does not mean imagination, it means giving actual shape to the description of Vedic literature. Earth is the ultimate transformation of all living entities and their respective modes of material nature. 47. The sense whose object of perception is sound is called the auditory sense, and that whose object of perception is touch is called the tactile sense. Purport. Sound is one of the qualifications of the sky and is the subject matter for hearing. Similarly, touch is the qualification of the air and is the subject of the touch sensation. So text 48. Sorry? Yeah.
Touch us. Listen, we touch the air. I mean, can feel it, but
Yeah.
the way we touch the air.
Yeah. Air and touch, yeah, they are. Touch is the qualification of air. You can feel the breeze. No? That's how they go together. Text 48. The sense whose object of perception is form. The distinctive characteristic of fire is the sense of sight. The sense whose object of perception is taste. This distinctive characteristic of water is known as the sense of taste. Finally, the sense whose object of perception is odor, the distinctive characteristic of earth is called the sense of smell. 49. Since the cause exists in its effect as well, the characteristics of the former are observed in the latter. That is why the peculiarities of all the elements exist in the earth alone. Purport. Sound is the cause of the sky, sky is the cause of the air, air is the cause of fire, fire is the cause of water, and water is the cause of earth. In the sky there is only sound, in the air there is sound and touch, in the fire there is sound, touch, and form, in water there is sound, touch, form, and taste, and in the earth there are sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Therefore earth is the reservoir of all the qualities of the other elements. Earth is the sum total of all other elements. The earth has all 5 qualities of the elements, water has 4 qualities, fire has 3, air has 2, and the sky has only 1 quality, sound. Text 50. When all these elements are unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of creation, alone with time, work, and the qualities of the modes of material nature, entered into the universe with the total material energy in 7 divisions. After stating the generation of the causes, Kapila speaks about the generation of the effects. At that time, when the causes were unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his feature of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, entered within each universe. Accompanying him were all of the 7 primary elements: the 5 material elements, the total energy, Mahatattva, and the false ego. This entrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead involves his entering even the atoms of the material world. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. He is not only within the universe, but within the atoms also. He is within the heart of every living entity. Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered into everything. 51. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Okay, purport. In sex life, the combination of matter from the parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates the situation whereby a soul is received within matter, and the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. The same principle exists in the universal creation. The ingredients were present, but only when the Lord entered into the material elements was matter actually agitated. That is the cause of creation. We can see this in our ordinary experience. Although we may have clay, water and fire, the elements take the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. Similarly, this material world does not develop unless agitated by the Supreme Lord as the Virat Purusha. Yasmat udatishtat asau virat. By his agitation, space was created, and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. Text 52. This universal egg, or the universe in the shape of an egg, is called the manifestation of material energy. Its layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahatattva increase in thickness one after another. Each layer is 10 times bigger than the previous one, and the final outside layer is covered by pradhana. Within this egg is the universal form of Lord Hari, of whose body the 14 planetary systems are parts. Purport. This universe, or the universal sky which we can visualize within, with its innumerable planets, is shaped just like an egg. As an egg is covered by a shell, the universe is also covered by various layers. The first layer is water, the next is fire, then air, then sky, and the ultimate holding crust is pradhana. Within this egg-like universe is the universal form of the Lord as the Virat Purusha. All the different planetary situations are parts of his body. This is already explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto. The planetary systems are considered to form different bodily parts of that universal form of the Lord. Persons who cannot directly engage in the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord are advised to think of and worship this universal form. The lowest planetary system, Patala, is considered to be the soul of the Supreme Lord, and the earth is considered to be the belly of the Lord. Brahmaloka, or the highest planetary system, where Brahma lives, is considered to be the head of the Lord. This Virat Purusha is considered an incarnation of the Lord. The original form of the Lord is Krishna, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Adi Purusha. The Virat Purusha is also Purusha, but he is not Adi Purusha. The Adi Purusha is Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also accepted as the Adi Purusha, the original. Krishna says, "No one is greater than I." There are innumerable expansions of the Lord, and all of them are Purushas or enjoyers, but neither the Virat Purusha nor the Purusha avatars, Karandakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, nor any of the many other expansions is the original. In each universe, there are Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the Virat Purusha, and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. The active manifestation of the Virat Purusha is described here. Persons who are in the lower grade of understanding regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead may think of the universal form of the Lord, for that is advised in the Bhagavatam. The dimensions of the universe are estimated here. The outer covering is made of layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahatattva, and each layer is 10 times greater than the one previous. The space within the hollow of the universe cannot be measured by any human scientist or anyone else, and beyond the hollow there are 7 coverings, each one 10 times greater than the one preceding it. The layer of water is 10 times greater than the diameter of the universe, and the layer of fire is 10 times greater than that of water. Similarly, the layer of air is 10 times greater than that of fire. These dimensions are all inconceivable to the tiny brain of a human being. It is also stated that this description is of only one egg-like universe. There are innumerable universes besides this one, and some of them are many, many times greater. It is considered, in fact, that this universe is the smallest. Therefore, the predominating superintendent, or Brahma, has only 4 heads for management. In other universes, which are far greater than this one, Brahma has more heads. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that all these Brahmas were called one day by Lord Krishna on the inquiry of the small Brahma, who, after seeing all the larger Brahmas, was thunderstruck. That is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. No one can measure the length and breadth of God by speculation or by false identification with God. These attempts are symptoms of lunacy. Yeah, lunacy is like craziness. The moon. Luna is the Latin word for moon, so it's the one being controlled by the moon.
Yes.
Or lunatic. It's in English called lunatic.
Lunatic, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lunacy you don't hear so much. Lunacy, but it comes from the same.
But this sentence is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they have this identification. They say, God say this, God say that.
Yeah, if you don't have the identification of the Srimad Bhagavatam or the scriptures of Bhagavad Gita, then you have some other identification. You surely have some other identification. No one is without identification. Or it's kind of like a mad state. You kind of like, you don't know who you are. I mean, really, in a granular level. But everyone has some idea.
Yes, but this, what I mean, like explain. It's very well explained in this sentence. No one can measure the length and breadth of God by speculation, mental speculation, or by false identification.
Yeah.
No,
this is the symptom of someone being crazy. So basically, we are not the crazy.
No, we're not. That's what I mean. We don't speculate. We just read what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We get the knowledge from above. We don't try to reach beyond our capabilities, because this is the beyond. It descends upon us by this Guru Parampara. Okay, we continue with text 53. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Virat Purusha, situated himself in that golden egg which was lying on the water, and he divided it into many departments. Text 54. First of all, a mouth appeared in him, and then came forth the organ of speech, and with it the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ. Then a pair of nostrils appeared, and in them appeared the olfactory sense, as well as prana, the vital air. Purport. With the manifestation of speech, fire also became manifested, and with the manifestation of nostrils, the vital air, the breathing process, and the sense of smell also became manifested. Text 55. In the wake of the olfactory sense came the wind god, who presides over that sense. Thereafter a pair of eyes appeared in the universal form, and in them the sense of sight. In the wake of this sense came the sun god, who presides over it. Next there appeared in him a pair of ears, and in them the auditory sense, and in its wake the Dik Devatas, or the deities who preside over the directions. Purport. the appearance of the different bodily parts of the Lord's universal form, and the appearance of the presiding deities of those bodily parts is being described. As in the womb of a mother a child gradually grows different bodily parts, so in the universal womb the universal form of the Lord gives rise to the creation of various paraphernalia. The senses appear, and over each of them there is a presiding deity. It is a corroborated statement of Srimad Bhagavatam and also by Brahma Samhita that the sun appeared after the appearance of the eyes of the universal form of the Lord. The sun is dependent on the eyes of the universal form. The Brahma Samhita also says that the sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yat chakshu esha savita. Savita means the sun. The sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, everything is created by the universal body of the Supreme Godhead. Material nature is simply the supplier of materials. The creation is actually done by the Supreme Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Madhyakshena prakriti swetesa characharam. Under my direction does material nature create all moving and non-moving objects in the cosmic creation. 56. Then the universal form of the Lord, the Virat Purusha, manifested his skin, and thereupon the hair, mustache, and beard appeared. After this, all the herbs and drugs were manifested, and then his genitals also appeared. Purport: the skin is the site of the touch sensation. The demigods who control the production of herbs and medicinal drugs are the deities presiding over the tactile sense. Text 57. After this, semen, the faculty of procreation, and the god who presides over the waters appeared. Next appeared an anus, and then the organs of defecation, and thereupon the god of death, who is feared throughout the universe. Purport: it is understood herewith that the faculty to discharge semen is the cause of death. Therefore, yogis and transcendentalists who want to live for greater spans of life voluntarily restrain themselves from discharging semen. The more one can restrain the discharge of semen, the more one can be aloof from the problem of death. There are many yogis living up to 300 or 700 years by this process, and in the Bhagavatam it is clearly stated that discharging semen is the cause of horrible death. The more one is addicted to sexual enjoyment, the more susceptible he is to a quick death. That's in the Vedas. Huh? Yeah. 58. Thereafter, the two hands of the universal form of the Lord became manifested, and with them the power of grasping and dropping things. And after that, Lord Indra appeared. Next, the legs became manifested, and with them the process of movement, and after that, Lord Vishnu appeared. Purport: the deity presiding over the hands is Indra, and the presiding deity of movement is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Vishnu appeared on the appearance of the legs of the Virat Purusha. 59. The veins of the universal body became manifested, and thereafter the red how do you pronounce this? Corpusculus. Corpusculus.
Yes.
Okay. I never pronounced it in my life. The red corpusculus, or blood. In their wake came the rivers, the deities presiding over the veins, and then appeared an abdomen. Purport: blood veins are compared to rivers. When the veins were manifested in the universal form, the rivers in the various planets were also manifested. The controlling deity of the rivers is also the controlling deity of the nervous system. In Ayurvedic treatment, those who are suffering from the disease of nervous instability are recommended to take a bath by dipping into a flowing river. See, like knowing the connection, how things work. And Ayurveda, Bhagavatam is full of the practice. Yeah. Just by taking a bath. Or even like remember having some problem as a child. I don't know, whatever disease was, the doctor recommended to go and bathe in the sea. that was the cure. So just not knowing maybe exactly, but it's all in it's Ayurvedically or described what affects what according to nature. Who presides? Here we say the deity is presiding in the same system in the body that there is manifested then on the earth. So you can then take this take advantage and heal yourself. Text 60. Next grew feelings of hunger and thirst, and in their wake came the manifestation of the oceans. Then a heart became manifest, and in the wake of the heart the mind appeared. Purport. The ocean is considered to be the presiding deity of the abdomen, where the feelings of hunger and thirst originate. When there is an irregularity in hunger and thirst, one is advised, according to Ayurvedic treatment, to take a bath in the ocean. Or maybe that's why I went to sea as a child. Yeah, I didn't have appetite. So just go and take the bath in the ocean. 61. After the mind, the moon appeared. The intelligence appeared next, and after intelligence, Lord Brahma appeared. Then the false ego appeared, and then Lord Shiva. And after the appearance of Lord Shiva came consciousness and the deity presiding over consciousness. Purport. The moon appeared after the appearance of mind, and this indicates that the moon is the presiding deity of mind. You see, it's really, when we say lunatic, luna means the moon. So someone then, that the mind or the one who's residing or controlling the mind, which is the moon, there's no connection. Or it's disconnection with your presiding deity of your organ of mind. Similarly, Lord Brahma appearing after intelligence is the presiding deity of intelligence, and Lord Shiva, who appears after false ego, is the presiding deity of false ego. In other words, it is indicated that the moon god is in the mode of goodness, whereas Lord Brahma is in the mode of passion and Lord Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. The appearance of consciousness after the appearance of false ego indicates that from the beginning material consciousness is under the mode of ignorance, and that one therefore has to purify himself by purifying his consciousness. This purificatory process is called Krishna consciousness. As soon as the consciousness is purified, the false ego disappears. Identification of the body with the self is called false identification or false ego. Lord Chaitanya confirms this in his Shikshastaka. He states that the first result of chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna is that dirt is cleared from the consciousness or the mirror of the mind, and then at once the blazing fire of material existence is over. The blazing fire of material existence is due to false ego, but as soon as the false ego is removed, one can understand his real identity. At that point, he is actually liberated from the clutches of Maya. As soon as one is freed from the clutches of false ego, his intelligence also becomes purified, and then his mind is always engaged upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared on the full moon day as Gaurachandra, or the spotless transcendental moon. The material moon has spots on it, but on the transcendental moon, Gaurachandra, there are no spots. In order to fix the purified mind in the service of the Supreme Lord, one has to worship the spotless moon, Gaurachandra. Those who are materially passionate, or those who want to exhibit their intelligence for material advancement in life, are generally worshippers of Lord Brahma, and persons who are in the gross ignorance of identifying with the body worship Lord Shiva. Materialists like Hiranyakashipu and Ravana are worshippers of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, but Prahlada and other devotees in the service of Krishna consciousness worship the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead. So we'll end here. It's over, unless there's only a few verses to go in this chapter, but there's more. So, okay, we'll stop here, and we will do also reading tomorrow from verse 62 onwards. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.